Welcome to a Grandmaster's Guide to Battle Mech. That's right, guys. We're finally doing our Battle Mech tutorial. And this is actually going to be part one of a three-part series because it's going to take a really long time to get through like all the different variations and all the different things you need to know about this style. So for today's video, we're just going to be doing the most defensive way you can open up. And that's actually going to be a battlecruiser opening, which will excite a lot of you. I know a lot of you like to make battlecruisers. So this is a good way to start with, a good build order to start with. And it's also, like I said, it's the most defensive, so I think it's a great way to learn this style if you've never played Battle Mech before. And for those of you who don't know like what Battle Mech is, like it's essentially just Hellion Cyclone. And it's called Battle Mech because you get to be really, really, really aggressive with it. Really early into the game, depending on what your opponent opens up, obviously. If you get all-in, you still have to defend the all-in, and then you get to play Battle Mech after the all-in, but assuming everything is standard, you get to be on the map early, and you get to be like dual pronging and expanding, and you get to be the aggressive player. Like if you've ever played against a Muta player in TVZ, it's kind of like you're the Muta player now. You have the Muta clump. You get to go anywhere on the map. You get to be as aggressive as you want. And that's why it's such a fun style, and that's why it's called Battle Mech. Because you're not just sitting at home the whole game, you're actually in your opponent's face, you're doing damage, you're clearing creep spread, you're scouting. It's just one of the funnest things you can do. And that's why I'm so excited to be able to actually bring you guys this tutorial. So to jump into the build here, this is just regular barracks refinery, so we can go Reaper expand. As for the SCV scout timing, I do recommend 17 scouting if you guys don't. The reason for 17 scouting is just so you can get across the map before you have to make the decision of where you're going to build your first command center. So to show you guys what I mean here, if I were to have 17 scouted in this match, my SCV would be here already. So I would already be able to see if he's going pool first. And if he's going pool first, what you could do is you could just build your command center on the high ground, like right here, and you can wall off. And you're actually at like a huge advantage. So the reason I mention this to you guys is because for lower level games, you'll actually find that Zerg players go pool first more often than they don't go pool first. So I would recommend for a lower level player usually to just 17 scout every game. Even though if you look at high level games, you'll find most like Clem level players will go 20 scout or not even SCV scout at all. And I think that's fine too, but you really will get a pretty big advantage against like anybody that goes pool first, and that happens very frequently at low levels. So that's just something for you guys to keep in mind. Yeah, jumping again back into the build here, you get your command center down, you finish your wall off with your next supply depot, and then we're going to get our Reaper across the map to scout. Now this is a game against an AI, so there's no opponent here, so we're not going to focus on the other side of the map too much. There will be live games of me playing this build order on the ladder, on the Grandmaster ladder, on my main account at the end of this video after this part, so stay tuned for that. So when your Reaper gets here, you just want your Reaper to do, you know, the number one thing you want your Reaper to do is maintain vision of the front, because you never want like a bunch of lings to just sneak out of here and then make their way into your nat for free. And something I want to note here is when you do SCV scout, you want to like have your SCV on patrol right here until your Reaper gets here. I didn't do it here, but if you don't have any gap in your vision, then there's actually no possibility that Zerglings could sneak out right here, which could happen even on a normal like standard Zerg opening. They have like 2 seconds to just sneak their ling out. So I definitely recommend leaving the SCV on patrol if you can, just until the Reaper shows up. And then you can, you know, poke the drone line, poke the queen, poke the creep tumor. It's something you guys will do thousands of, like literally thousands and thousands of times if you're going to be serious about playing TVZ and getting better. So I'm not going to like give you guys a tutorial on how to do the Reaper micro part of the match. Really all you need to know is that speed finishes at 3 minutes and 30 seconds in a standard build order. So if you're going to sack your Reaper to scout, you need to do it before 3:30. And I actually would recommend that you do sack this Reaper if you don't see a third base. So like if they just don't take a third before 3 minutes or 3:30, then you should sack the Reaper in the main and scout. Even if the Reaper dies, you should go for the scout no matter what, because you need to see if it's a lair. You need to see if there's a roach warren. Like, these are very important things you need to know. Like, and a late third base is very indicative of either a lair or a roach warren. And then obviously, if you were to get roach rushed, we would have to get a banshee and a bunker like as quickly as possible, which would be a slight deviation in the build. And I'm sure I will definitely find example games of me defending all-ins with this build order. So don't worry if you're worried about like what's going to happen if you get roach all-in. I will definitely give you guys examples of what to do for that. So you do get your factory when you get your 100 gas, and then you're going to get your third command center when you get your 400 minerals, like so. I like to build that in the center of my base because any overlord that needs to come in here needs to come in here. Like, you can't just if you put your command center here, like an overlord could scout it right here. You want the overlord to actually have to come in the base because you want to kill the overlord, right? So yeah, build that right next to your main CC is a good location, I think. All right, so then we're going to get our... So this is where it feels really weird, and this is why it's really, really, really important to maintain vision here, because we're actually not going to build Hellions right away. It's going to feel like you're naked for about a minute, and it's kind of intentional, because what you want to do is you want to get your starport and then your refinery before you get your Hellion. Because that's just like, if you do it that way, the build order will flow very well. As opposed to like having way too many Hellions early. Like if you produce Hellions right now, you just would have too many Hellions. And you don't want that. And as long as you have vision over here, you know you're not getting Ling Rushed. So if you were getting Ling Rushed, you could easily just start the Hellions right now and then build the starport after. But because we have the vision, we can build the starport. So, starport, and then refinery, and then you obviously need your orbital too, and then you're going to start your Hellion when you get 200 minerals, and that's roughly going to be at like the 3-minute 20 to 3-minute 30 mark, depending on how well you've microed your SCVs, I suppose. So, build, they're there. And then we're going to saturate the geyser there. And this would already be sacked if you were to sack it, because remember the timing was 3:30, so you'd actually want to send this in about 10 seconds earlier than this. And obviously, if you saw a roach warren here, the first thing you want to do when you swap the starport onto the tech lab is build a banshee. It's the first thing you want to do. And I'm going to tell you guys a trick right now. This is a very high-level trick. If you don't get the scout, like, let's say the Reaper dies right now, and you don't know if he's going roaches still. Like, let's say the roach warren was over here, and you lost the Reaper over here. Okay, what do I do? Because you don't want to build the Banshee and then end up not needing it. So what you can do is you can build the Banshee, let it go to 99% completion, and just cancel it if there's no roaches. I think that's a very difficult thing to pull off, because a lot of the time I do accidentally just build the Banshee anyways. But if you can do it, you save a lot of money. So something to keep in mind if you lose the Reaper here. But in this game, I mean, obviously this is like the ideal perfect game because there's no opponent, but assuming everything is standard, you would just build your fusion core immediately. So first thing you would do, hopefully I could afford it right now. I don't know why there it is. Okay. All right. So orbital, when that finishes, there it is, the orbital. And then the Hellions, I'll explain the Hellions. You always want to have 2 Hellions in your natural. So never move out unless you have 2 at home. So I wait for the next 2 and then I send the next 2 out. Okay. Like that. And then you get the 2 guys, you get the 2 gas geysers here after the fusion core. Gas is obviously very important. Something you're going to notice is that whenever I take a third base, I always build the gas geysers before I even float it, because you want to land it and then have the geysers done, because you want to be mining gas like immediately, right? So this is the part of the build. Actually, not yet. You just get a couple depots here. We don't start to build depots 2 at a time quite yet. So yeah, you're going to go 6 Hellion, and then you're going to have enough money for your battle cruiser. So then you get your battle cruiser, and then you float your 3rd base. Something you could do if you guys wanted to be cheeky, you could wall off right now with a depot and an engineering bay. And you could do a Hellion run by, like you can use all 6 Hellions. As long as you're walled off and you have a Marine behind the wall, it's fine. You can do a Hellion run by. Something I would also note that I didn't do here is build a 2nd Marine. You always want 2 Marines on the edge of the base because 1 Marine is not enough to kill it before the Overlord reaches the fusion core. And also, this fusion core is placed really bad. I would build it like right here, or even like right here. Something like somewhere really unpredictable where the Overlord really wouldn't be going anywhere close to, because I feel like an Overlord scout could easily come in from right here. So yeah, be careful about that. Once we get our battle cruiser, yeah, like I said, we float the command center, and then we're going to get 2 factory. When we get the gas for it, we do saturate this as quickly as we can. And yeah, right now we're kind of just building like 1 depot at a time. Then we get our eBay to finish that off. You always want the eBay right around now. I like to use it to wall because you need to wall off a lot of things. So using the eBay like makes it a little bit easier. And the reason for the eBay, obviously, is for sensor towers and turrets. Mostly turrets, because the muta timing can come really quick, really hard, really fast. And also there's burrowed roach timings, so you always just want to have your eBay as an option as early as you can. So those are your 2 factory. So this is another very important thing you guys need to understand. If you don't get scouted on the battle cruiser opening, so if like no Overlord flies in, do not reveal your battle cruiser. Wait until your 2nd battle cruiser comes out, because what we're going to do is we're going to get Yamato here, and then we're going to get a 2nd battle cruiser. And the timing is when the 2nd battle cruiser finishes, Yamato is going to finish. And you're going to find that you actually auto win a lot of games if you hit with 2 battle cruisers and Yamato. If you reveal your first battle cruiser too early, what's going to happen is the Zerg player is going to build a Spire, and then you're just going to get immediately countered by the time the 2nd one comes out. You don't want them to build the Spire right away. You want it delayed. So if you do not get scouted, wait until the 2nd battle cruiser comes out, and then literally just M-move. Do not teleport. M-move across the map, and then use your Yamatos to kill queens, and then just see how much damage you can do. Because I guarantee, especially like the low-level games, you will just win if you don't get scouted. And I'm actually going to show you example games in the reel today of me doing this and just winning the game against Grandmaster level players because they just didn't scout. And 2 battle cruisers with Yamato is a lot better than you guys think it is if you've never played with the unit before. All right, so like I said, we get Yamato here, and then we're going to get our 2nd battle cruiser. We've got the gas saturation. So once you land the 3rd, you want to start building 2 supply depots at a time. So every time 2 supply depots are built and finished, you build 2 more. And you just keep walling, like you wall everything off. You never want to build a supply depot like in a random location in this matchup. You always want it to be part of a you want it to be part of a wall off every time. Especially now that there's a new thing we can do where we can give the supply depot 100 extra HP if we do a supply drop on it. So you could drop like 2 supply hats here and like double the strength. Not double, but make it a lot better against Baneling. Anyways. So now we're going to get 2 armory when we get the money for it. And this is a very important part of the build order. We don't actually go battle mech right away. Something I highly recommend to you guys is that you actually open up siege tank first. I think going 4 siege tank and then going cyclone after the 4 siege tank is just an infinitely safer way to play, especially against any roach corruptor timing. You're going to find that roach corruptor timings are probably the go-to build order to try to counter this build order. Like any good Zerg player will just go like roach Corruptor, and then they'll attack maybe a minute and a half from now. So getting the 4 siege tanks is probably the safest thing you can do. Like, you don't want to get Cyclones yet because you don't have the upgrades. And you need the upgrades for them to be good. And you need large numbers of Cyclones for it to be good. Like, if you only have 4 Cyclones, that's not good. You need to have a lot of them. So that's why I definitely recommend opening with Siege Tank and then going into Cyclone after you get the upgrades. Because, yeah, it's just way safer. I survive way easier when I do this this way. And then we're going to get our 4th base when we get 400 minerals. Really when this is saturated, or like as this is saturating, you get your 4th command center. You could build it on location if you want, depending on how risky you want to be. And then the next part is we're going to add 2 more factories, I believe, because you want to go up to 5 factory when you're on 3 base. And then when you add your 4th command center, so when we land this and when we add the gas geysers here, we're going to add 3 more factories. So we're going to go from 3 to 5 to 8 factory total. And then hopefully we have the 1 starport, and the starport is just going to be building like a Raven. And then the only job of the starport is to replace either the battle cruiser or the Raven. And something also I did not mention yet is that I really recommend you guys never build more than 2 battle cruisers. This should be the maximum number of BCs that you build in this matchup. Unless you want to like literally make 20 of them, I would only recommend this many. And the reason is neural parasite will just completely end this unit, and there's no good reasonable counter unless you build 20 battle cruiser and you Yamato every single infestor. There's no reasonable way to dodge it. So I recommend not building more than 2. I personally never really try to build more than 2 or 3. 3 is like the maximum you'll ever see me build. What else do I have to say? Nothing really. You can build Widow Mines too. I built a couple Widow Mines just to show that it's an option. Like, depending on what you play against, you can always start building Widow Mines out of the factory. Although Hellions are always just the best unit to build. I think that's about it, because you go up to 8 factory, and then essentially the entire style is just like pump out Cyclone Hellion, and then try to take as many command centers as you can. The SCV count, I didn't mention the SCV count. You want to go up to 90 SCV total. That's the number we're going for. And I know that's a lot of SCVs, but this is the style. You need a lot of SCVs to support a lot of mech units. So we're going to be going to 90. Yeah, so you don't add your extra factory until your 4th base lands, because you need the gas income here, like I said. So here's the extra factory. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the tech labs, the tech lab reactor ratio is quite easy. You just do 1 reactor on the very first one, and then tech lab, tech lab, tech lab, tech lab, tech lab, tech lab, reactor. The very first and the very last factory both have reactors, and every other one has a tech lab. Very easy to remember. And to be honest, 2 reactors is like a little bit too much. You really only need 1, because Hellions do not die that frequently. It's really the Cyclone that die the most. And then also there's another transition after this. So the counter for Zerg for Battle Mech is to go Infestor Fungal. And if you guys end up hitting a timing where like they get Fungal and you cannot do any more damage, that is when you transition to either Ghost or Liberator. I recommend Liberator because I think Liberator is the most aggressive, and like it's just the best way to play it, because Liberator really pairs well with Battle Mech in my opinion, because you can like set up your Liberator siege zones and then just run through them, like run away, and you just kind of like kite everything through them. And the mobility of Battle Mech is so good with it too, so I would recommend throwing down a couple more starports, but you could go Ghost Academy. I did both here just to show the options. But yeah, just keep expanding. Like I said, you're going to 90 SUVs. There you go, 90 SUVs. And if you look at the supply here, we're at 190 supply at 9 minutes 30 seconds in. Like, that's a really fast max. And that's the battle mech style. Like, you get to 200 supply fast and you stay there, because as you lose units, you are producing mech units on 8 factories at a time. So you're going to find that in every game that I play where you watch me do this, and hopefully in the games that you play, you end up just sitting at like 180 supply plus, like the whole game. And that's why it's such a fun style. Like, you're always high on supply and you're always aggressive. You're always having fun. What else can I note here? I think just, yeah, the Liberator transition is where you would transition in the late game. And then the late game, you would need Ghost. Like, if they had, like, for example, if they go Broodlord Infestor and they have too many Broodlord Infestor, you'd have to get Ghost eventually. Like, you do reach a breaking point where you build enough Broodlord Infestor that it just becomes too much to deal with. Like, you have to transition into Thor, Ghost, Liberator if that happens to you. One thing you don't ever have to worry about, and the reason why I recommend this build so much, is the BCs are really good at dealing with Nidus worms. A Nidus lurker is never a problem if you have 2 battle cruisers on the map at all times, because you can just teleport them home and kill the Nidus before it even goes off. And even if it goes off, you teleport it home, you defend the lurker. It's not a big deal. I don't know if I mentioned it. I think I was talking about it and I cut myself off, but the starport, really his only job for the majority of the game is to replace either one of these guys, like if a battle cruiser dies, or if the Raven dies. Because you should always have 1 Raven, maybe 2 Raven, and you should always have 2 battle cruiser. So if any of those units die, you just use the starport to replace it. That's it. Obviously, when it's time to go Liberator, you would build Liberator out of it, but for the majority of the game, you're just kind of sitting there. Like, ideally, you would never have to replace any unit because you don't want to lose any unit, but yeah, as far as the pushing goes, you should always have this is what your force should look like, give or take. You should always have a Raven, and you should always have like a decent amount of Hellion, and then just a bunch of Cyclone. The more the merrier. Like, when you get too many of these, you put them on the left half, and then you split push. Like, you want to be split pushing. You want to be attacking the left side of the map, the right side of the map. You want to be expanding at the same time. It can be very APM intensive, but it's up to you guys if you're up for the challenge. Like I said, this is the defensive version of the build. Stay tuned for tomorrow. I'll show you guys the aggressive version of the build, but for the rest of today's video, I'm going to show you guys some examples of me playing this build order on the ladder. So enjoy, and yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, we got another Zerg, so we're going to do another try at the battle mech build order. BC into battle mech this game. If we can. Actually, I think this is a really, really good map for battle mech, because there's like, it's really big, first of all, and then it's like hard to like maneuver around these areas. Like, so just having the speed of battle mech is really nice. Plus the battle mech can kill the rocks really quickly too. Like, there's a lot of benefits to battle mech. It's SCV scout. I kind of forgot, so we're gonna go with the 20 scout. Hopefully this guy's not pool firsting. Alright, this should be finishing if it's normal. Alright, good. It's kind of hard to get the Reaper in here too, because there's only like one spot and it's choked off. Or you got to go down the ramp, which is not really desirable ever. Oh! Nice kill. Alright, Queen's out. Looks like he wants to drop a tumor. Looks like it. Oh. Nah, it's too risky. It's a difficult angle. Alright, I'm pretty sure we just took that one, right? Oh, we didn't. This one? Okay, that's a little scary. Gonna have to sack our Reaper, it looks like. Oh yeah, definite Reaper sack. Let's have a look here. The main base looks good. The natural looks good too. There's no Roach Warren. Like, I guess he's just gonna expand. This might be a type of game where it's good to build a Banshee and then cancel it, depending on what he's doing. Because we got to confirm it still. I don't think I have enough information. I'm happy to see the creep spread. That's a good sign. Yeah, so I don't think I'm going to need to build the Banshee. I'm just going to sack the Hellions. Ah, okay. I lost them to Ling. I was hoping I could at least see like a little deeper in to see if I missed the Roach Warren on the left, but that's going to have to do. Alright, so let's go. Oop, not that yet. Battlecruiser. Let's get the gas there. Once the Marines are done clearing the Overlord, it's always good to just put them on the map for extra vision scouting too. Alright, so we're gonna do Yamato now, and then we're gonna get our second VC. Good. So I don't think did he scout that? Remember, the rule is if he scouts it, then you just teleport the first battle cruiser, but if he doesn't scout it, it's better to wait for the second battle cruiser. Alright, so 2 tank, start those upgrades. Keep the wall off going. Oh. It's an overseer. He might fly in into here. That's pretty funny. Oh, I guess the Marine's gonna get him. Oh. Oh, but he got them. Rip. I'm surprised he didn't get that one, but he got the other one. Oh, this takes a lot of depots to wall off, man. I don't know how I feel about that. Alright, let's get armory. 2 more factory. Get some safety turrets, because he doesn't. We don't know if it's Muta yet either. Okay, we see Roach. Oh, I'm not going to get mag field because the Cyclone is still bugged. I don't want to take too much of an unfair advantage here. Oh. He's just going to GG because he has literally no way to play from there, apparently. All right, another game against Zerg. See if we can do the battlecruiser build this time or not. Do. Actually, this is a map that's interesting to play on too. Because you never want to expand to this base until the very end of the game, I think. Because this base can be denied with a tank right here on the high ground. So even if the Zerg were to take it at any point in the game, you can just put one tank here and then you just block it, or a Liberator or whatever. So logically, it doesn't make sense to take until the end of the game because you can just take it that late. These are the difficult to take bases. These are the ones that we need to secure with PFs and unit positioning. Like, it's easier to lock it down here with a PF and then just go there at the very end of the game. All right, let's go see what they're doing here. Question in the chat: any extreme late games versus Zerg yet? Not on the new patch. I haven't played. Honestly, the battle mech is just winning every game, especially with the bug cyclone. But I'm trying. Like I said, I'm not getting mag field at the moment, so it's only slightly bugged. But the reload time on the cyclone thing is like way shorter than it should be still. So yeah, we're just winning a lot of games in the mid game at the moment. Like, most Zergs are either all-inning or they're trying to play against it. But we're pretty close at the moment to how it's going to be, as long as we don't get mag field and as long as we don't like try to abuse the lock-on timing too much. Like, as long as I pull back for a few extra seconds each cycle, it should be like pretty similar to how it should be. So that's what we're doing, at least until it's fixed. And I definitely think the tutorial content that I'm making for this is still going to be valid. It's just the only difference is the Cyclone is going to basically just do a lot less damage, but it's still going to do a lot of damage, period. It's a really good unit, even without it being super bugged. Alright, so let's get our command center. Is there a third base is my next question. That looks pretty normal. Looks very normal, actually. I don't even think I'm going to sack my Reaper against this. I'm going to pull back. Just going with the Hellion. That way I get a little bit extra firepower to kill the creep tumors. Let's get our fusion core. And that's why you always have 2 Hellions at home, no matter what. Everything looks really normal from the Zerg. I mean, I'm not getting Roach all-in vibes, but it's still a possibility. Okay, and that possibility just went down very severely because he's going a speed overlord. Usually someone that invests in scouting tech doesn't usually all in 2 seconds later, so that's why I'm not very worried now. Also, the battlecruiser has started, so even if it were to be a Roach all in this late in the game, we would be pretty okay. Being a little chill here, I could go out with these units. Alright, so he knows I'm going battlecruiser, so I'm just going to send the first battlecruiser out when it completes. No need to hide it. Let's get our armories. And look for these overlords first. Oh, they're so fast. Now let's get 2 more factory. Oh man, I never saturated the geysers in my nat. Oops. That's kind of a blunder. Oh, I also didn't start my second battle cruiser yet. Which isn't actually a big deal anyways, because he is already building the counter to it, so we're not going to do anything with 2 of them. Like, if he scouts it that early, you're only building 2 battle cruisers defensively. You're not building them to be super offensive. Because you're risking losing your BC to, like, an Infestor Burrow play if you do that. Oh, okay. Tech lab, tech lab. All right, we gotta get some healing. Also, I need a few more tanks. I only have 1 tank. Supposed to have 4 tanks every game. I completely skipped over that. Everything's back on track now. Start building our Raven, and we're just only building Cyclone Hellion now. It's okay to scan ahead, though. I'm not even getting Infestor vibes anyways from this guy. Yeah, he's got a Spire. Okay. He's probably going Corruptor. Oh, no. Oop. Alright, let's add our 3 more factory now that we're on 4 base. Also 2-2. Send that battle cruiser home. It needs to be repaired. Alright, now it's the part of the game where we start to cook heavily. Oh, I don't have a teleport. Rip. Alright, if you lose your battle cruiser, you rebuild your battle cruiser. You always want to have 2 of them. It's okay if you lose one. It's not the end of the world. But you need 2 of them, because if Nidus Worm appears in your main base, and then 14 lurkers come out of it, you're going to wish you had 2 of them, okay? That is your lesson. These are nice Overlord kills. Oh. Okay, I'm going to bring my army down here. This is the best part about Battle Mech, is if you get caught out like this, you can just bring your other units into position because you are fast enough to bring your units into position. Alright, so until this guy builds infestors, we're just going to bully him, essentially. Because the only way he gets out of this is with infestor. I gotta rebuild my Raven now. Whenever you lose your Raven, you gotta rebuild that too. Basically, all the starport does is rebuild the same things on repeat, because you just lose them over and over. And make sure you're expanding quick. We need 90 SCVs, a couple more. I really shouldn't be losing my BCs, but I mean, I just keep bringing them with me. Like, just gonna send them home and hold position. Because really, the only thing you're using the BCs for are to defend against Lurker. Like, that's it. Lurker Nidus. You should really never lose your BC ever, unless you get neural parasited. That's why I caution against Infestor so much. Okay. Oh, it's time for 3-3. This base is dead. If there's a base here, it's dead. Nope. Yeah, so this is a good lesson for Zerg players too. Like, if you want to know how to beat Battle Mech, you need Infestor. That's the only way to stop these pushes. And then you need to be able to split push correctly, which is the other half of the game. We're not really doing any split pushing, because if there's no Infestor on the map, there's no reason to split push. Because my army is always going to take good trades here, like always. I'm trying my best not to lock on like more than I should be, because there is a bug, but I'm trying to be like conservative about it. I don't know how well I'm doing though. Usually it's like you lock on one side and then you pull back, and then you go to the other side, you lock on, you pull back. And there's usually a few seconds in between each wave. If I remember correctly to what it should be like. I mean, you always need to be expanding no matter what. So now that we're at the last base, I can go take the base that I talked about at the start. And I guess we can work on the transition just to show you guys. You would get 2-star ports. We already have that, so you would get lib range. Because you want to get a liberator from here. Oh, GG. Alright, we got a TVZ. Gonna finally get to do one of my build orders for our battle mech tutorial. We're playing on... These are the new maps still, so give me a little bit of credit. I don't really know what's best yet. I think we'll try to do the BC opener here. See how that works. We got to ramp up to the natural. Yeah, I don't know. It looks kind of like a wide map, but maybe a close rush distance. I'm not sure what the rush distance looks like. Let's see how long the SCV takes to cross the map here. Ultra Love. It's a pretty funny name for a map. It's a weird looking map too. I don't think I like the red lines very much. They're a little distracting. The blue lines are better. Like my base, I think my base looks okay. But the red looks weird to me. I don't know. Alright, so this is pool after hatch, which is normal. So I'm going to leave the SCV there for a second just to make sure no lings sneak out. Alright. Oh, I thought he would go up to the top there. He went down. The queen's going to be out. He went for the inject instead of the tumor. Just going to do a look here for the third. Not yet. Keep in mind there's a really good chance we get all in. Just because it's a Zerg player, period. I'll do one more check for third bases, and then I'm going to sack my Reaper because I think something's up here. Like, this is too late for a third. I think I'm okay with sacking this. Got a layer. If he's going layer, I don't need to look for a Roach Warren. Well, actually, I kind of do. It could be layer Nidus, but it's a lot less likely. It's not that many drones, though. And he has gas, like 2 geysers. But there's straight up, like, no Roach Warren here, so... I think we're just going to go BC without worrying too much. Let's get 2 Marines on the edge there. Is there any creep spread? I'm a little concerned. Oh. Yeah, he took his third too late, so he has no creep spread, so there's no queens here to protect his base. So in a higher level game, like, he would be cheesing me because it doesn't make sense to do this, but in this game he's not cheesing, he's just kind of playing his own thing. It looks like we might be able to win with the run by this game. Yeah, where's the units? There they are. Alright. Get some turrets. We do have a battle cruiser, so no worries here. I'll send another 4 Hellions out, do a little more damage, because I'm going to take a little damage here too, most likely. Yeah, this Pult is mutaback, which is really good. I'm just gonna pull him all the way over here now. So yeah, that's why you don't really worry about muta openings at all. Like battlecruiser openings are technically a build order win. At least that's what most people would call it. Like if you go muta against a BC opening, you're just behind. Because the mutas are just not going to do that much damage. And my economy is going to be better than yours, so. And also I get to counterattack, which is something that usually you don't get to do right away. Against a muta player. It gets to be a little annoying here, though. I missed a turret here. Would have been nice. But now he has to deal with the BC still. Oh, he's making more muta, which is even worse news for him. I could have also made Widow Mine, which would have potentially caught everything by now. Couple more factory. Start getting some sensor towers to help. Good old battle mech range. That's one thing that isn't getting fixed is the range because it's actually intended to be that much. Which is awesome. I missed it very much. Oh, I forgot Yamato. That would have gained a... I was going to say that earlier. Did I say that earlier? If I had Yamato, he would have lost so many more muta. But sometimes you forget it. It's like your stim pack with the build order. Like, everybody forgets stim pack. Don't feel too bad about it. Just try to remember it more next time and then also forget it again. Anyways. Okay, he's actually trolling with the muta now, so we're just gonna make a big old round of turrets everywhere. Let's get the turret upgrade too. I already played him versus a mass muta player once in the last week. Oh, he's gonna win this fight. I guess we need Thor now. That's actually really surprising he just won that fight. I thought my Cyclone could just A-move that. Alright, we just have to wait for like a couple Thor and then we're 100% fine, but it's a little scary at the moment. I can't believe this game became scary somehow. I think that's a mess up on my part. not going to even move that Thor because he might fly in here and it would come in handy. Yeah, that was good. That's what we wanted. Now I feel completely fine. Even though I'm Omega supply blocked over and over. Oh, he ran away. Alright. I doubt he'll try that again, but if he does, I'll put 2 more there.
Research complete. Base is under attack.
Oh, there's a watchtowers on this map. That would be really helpful. Which Thor mode am I in right now? No. Oh my, what is he doing? No! No!